Hi people, it's me, Anja. My pronouns are she and her, and welcome back to my channel for a new recent reads video. So, in September, I was a reading machine and I read about 52 books. And in October, I've also been a reading machine, and it's currently the 26th of October, and I've read about 44 books, which is so satisfying and so awesome. So anyway, I'm going to talk about a couple of them. The first book on this list is called Beneath the Wide Silk Sky. This story is a YA historical fiction set in 1941, right before and right after the Pearl Harbor attack, because it follows a young Japanese-American main character who has photography dreams, but she can't really focus on them right now because she is too busy being focused on the fact that she might lose her family's farm if they don't make one last payment. However, she and her family are unaware of the looming threat of the Pearl Harbor attack. I hope that makes sense. Basically, this book was so good. It was absolutely so awesome. I just really enjoyed it because I was so emotionally connected to the events and to the characters. Literally, her family dynamics with like her siblings and her dad and her friends and the romance and everything felt so authentic and so well done. The plot was so intriguing and so engaging. The world building was so awesome and it was so well done. Literally, this book is so good and it's so engaging and so thrilling, and this book is literally so underrated. I honestly don't remember the last time that I read an Asian historical fiction book, which really goes to show the lack of Asian-centered stories in historical fiction, since historical fiction tends to be a pretty white genre, since history is pretty whitewashed. But anyway, the point is, this story was so awesome, and it just felt so authentic and so well done. So anyway, all that said, I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars, and I would highly, highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Frizzy. This story is a middle grade graphic novel, and it's set in a contemporary setting, and it follows a young girl who learns to embrace her natural colors. This story is absolutely so fantastic, and it was so well done. First of all, the illustrations and the art style were so vibrant and so well done. Second of all, the story itself was so timely, and it was absolutely so touching, and it really spoke to my younger self, because when I was younger, I too wanted straighter hair, because I was constantly surrounded by straighter haired people, so I was taught indirectly that straighter hair is more beautiful than my natural curly hair, and the media definitely reinforced that as well. So anyway, this story was so well done, and it really has a great message of like natural curly hair is just as pretty as like straight hair, you know what I mean? So like all hair types are beautiful is the point. But anyway, this story is so good. The plot was so intriguing and so engaging. The characters were so well developed and so distinct. I really, really enjoyed every single second of the story because it was literally so well done. And it felt so wholesome and so good, and like I mentioned, so timely and so important. So really, with all of that said, I rated the story 4 out of 5 stars, and I would highly, highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Marikit in the Ocean of Stars. I still haven't figured out yet if I'm mispronouncing her name or not, although I'm pretty sure that I am, because I haven't had much experience with like the Filipino language and names. So if I'm mispronouncing her name, which I definitely probably am, please let me know in the comments down below. But anyway, this story is a middle grade fantasy that follows a young Filipino main character who embarks on a quest to save her family from a sinister shadow god. Honestly, I didn't really like this book as much as I was really hoping to. Unfortunately, this book was on my October TBR, and I had pretty high expectations because like the concept of the story sounded so cool, and it definitely is. However, the execution for me wasn't really my cup of tea. First of all, however, the world building was pretty immersive and pretty inventive, so that was really, really good, and the plot was very engaging and very fast-paced. However, though, that was also the downfall for me. Since the book was pretty fast-paced, it ended up being too fast-paced for me, if that makes any sense, for me to become like super attached to the characters or anything like that, if that makes any sense. I don't really know if it does, but basically like I enjoyed this book and I liked it, but I didn't love it. I don't know if there are sequels or anything like that. If there are, I won't be reading them because I don't love this book that much. I definitely understand the hype and everything, I just don't personally agree with it. So basically, all that to say, I rated this book 3 out of 5 stars, and I didn't love it as much as I was really expecting to, so take that as you will. The next book on this list is called Nothing Sung and Nothing Spoken. For those who don't know, this book is a YA historical fiction following a young sapphic main character in 1938 in Berlin, Germany, the summer before World War II, and she's helping resist the Nazis during the swing youth movement. This story is absolutely so fantastic and it's so incredible, and I rated this story 5 out of 5 stars because I absolutely loved it. First of all, the writing is so lyrical and it's absolutely so beautiful. This book definitely lived up to my high expectations and I absolutely loved it so much. I had really high expectations for this book because the author, if you didn't know, previously wrote Who I Was With Her 2 years ago, which I really enjoyed. And this book not only met those high expectations, but also exceeded them, which I really appreciated. So anyway, aside from the beautiful lyrical writing, the characters were so well developed and so distinct and absolutely so individual. The sapphic romance was so lovely and it was so wonderful and it was so well developed. Literally, like, I typically dislike love triangles, but this book did everything so well. The world building was so good and it was so vibrant and it was literally so well researched. The swing youth movement is not something I know a great deal about, but this book educated me so much. Literally, this book is so good and it's definitely a new 5-star favorite of this year because it was so well done and so awesome. Literally, the story is so emotional and I really enjoyed it. So with all of that said, I would definitely highly recommend it because, like I said, I rated it 5 out of 5 stars, which means that I was so emotionally connected to the events and to the characters. There's absolutely nothing that I would change about it. So this book deserves all of its hype and so much more. So anyway, with all that said, I would highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Mooncakes. This story is a YA graphic novel that follows a young sapphic witch who's helping her non-binary werewolf crush escape people who are trying to hunt them for their magic. I hope that makes sense. This story is absolutely so fantastic and it was so well done. First of all, the illustrations were so pretty and so vibrant, and I already had high expectations for this book because of that, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the illustrator for this book is the same illustrator of Tide Song, which I really enjoyed when I read it last month. So this book definitely met those high expectations and exceeded them. The story itself was also so awesome and so engaging because the plot was so intriguing, the magic system was so fantastical and literally so well done. The characters were so well developed and so distinct and absolutely so individual. The sapphic romance was so lovely and so wonderful. This book is absolutely so well done because it's so well developed in every single element. Literally, this book is so good and I really enjoyed it because, like, literally the story was so immersive and it was so interesting. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but basically I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars because I really enjoyed it. With all that said, I would highly recommend it. The last book on this list, and certainly not the least, because this book is another new 5-star favorite, is called Show Us Who You Are. This story is a motivated contemporary science fiction that follows a young autistic main character who is intrigued by, like, artificial intelligence because basically she meets a new friend who's the son of a company that her brother works for, and the company has to do with artificial intelligence. So initially she's intrigued by it until she uncovers some dark secrets. I hope that makes sense. This story is so excellent and it's so good. I had really high expectations for this book because this author debuted 2 years ago with A Kind of Spark, which I absolutely loved for so many reasons, and this book I also absolutely loved, and I rated it 5 stars, like I mentioned, because it was so good. First of all, the autism representation, as well as the ADHD representation, because her new friend has ADHD, was so wonderful, and it was so good. Literally, the main character is so relatable in so many different ways, and the topic and the subject matter was also so timely and so important. So without giving that away, literally this book was so good. The plot was so intriguing and so engaging. The family dynamics and relationships was so well done. Literally, like, the relationship between the main character and her brother, the main character and her father, the main character and her new best friend was so wonderful and so well done. This book is absolutely so fantastic. I was also so fascinated and intrigued by the science fiction elements of the story, because literally, like, even though it was science fiction, it was also still timely in modern day, if that makes any sense. But anyway, the point is, I rated the story 5 out of 5 stars because it was absolutely so fantastic. With all that said, I would highly recommend it. So, in conclusion, October has been a great reading month so far, and again, for context, I'm filming this video before October has ended, but I believe you're watching it after October has ended, so I'm not quite sure right now how many books I will have read in October by the time that you're watching this video. So anyway, all that to say, I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you had a great reading month in October as well. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the zebra emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching, subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!